what can people expect from this amazing new documentary series?
I think you can probably expect a lot more of a behind the scenes. Is probably doesn't do it justice. I think it's really intimate. I think you get to know individual players a lot more. You get to hear coaches being very raw about their players and vice versa as well. You get to hear players talking about more than just what happens on the pitch, but also what happens in their head, what happens when they go home and when all the lights are turned off. And I think that's something big in sport really, is when sport isn't there and you're at home and you're away from it, how does it affect an individual? And I think you get a lot of insight into that too. Yeah.
And what do you think the motivation would have been to create the series? Because I say, I sort of had to think about it. I was like, gosh, you hear so much, maybe more about football players, and you do know more about their lives and what goes on kind of off the pitch, but maybe less so in rugby. So it was about time we had a show like this.
Definitely, because I've watched Breakpoint, I've watched Drive to Survive, and I've looked at those ones and I've gone like, nothing. I don't have anything bad to say about Formula One or tennis, but wow, rugby is just so much more interesting to me as an individual. So I've never understood the decline in popularity in it, and I've never understood what it is that rugby isn't doing that perhaps other sports are managing to do, and anything that can harness that and anything that can really maximise those individuals, the characters, all the personalities, I think is such a good thing. Rugby is so different, it's so unique in sport. They are ultimate professionals, but at the same time they're just normal people as well, and I think that balance is so much closer than any other sport. When you interview rugby players, you get so much out of them, you really do, and they're so open. It's a little bit like boxing in that sense, that I find working in both sports and knowing the individuals. There's a real freedom when you speak to them. So putting a camera on them and making a documentary series seems like a complete no-brainer. So I think that's probably why you get so much when you see it, because they're used to it and they want to talk. They're really smart as well.
And perhaps it's one of those sports, from the outside, there's a lot of toughness there. It is very grueling. Perhaps being able to delve into, what are the sacrifices that are there, emotionally, physically? What is it like in terms of mental health? What's the impact on the families? It's quite important to have that full picture.
100%. I think when you look at sport, you can't just see the finished product of a complete athlete and not understand what goes into it behind the scenes. That's the really important thing for a lot of people. And I think also audiences these days, they're educated and they're smart. And the more you show them, the more the hunger grows. They're like, wow, show me more about what they do. What do they eat? How do they train? Who do they hang out with? Who are their best friends? Those are the kind of things that you want to know. What's the banter like in the dressing room? And you get to see a lot of that.
Looking back over your last year and what you're looking forward to this year, what have been some of the highlights and challenges and what you're most excited about?
Last year was an amazing year for me individually. Personally, it was a great year. Next year, I think we've got the Euros coming up, we've got the Olympics coming up. This summer's going to be really busy. In between now and then, we've got the Champions League to continue. We'll have the Champions League final, we'll have the FA Cup and the FA Cup final. There's a lot going on, to be honest. There's a lot going on. I love it. It's great. It's not a difficult job working in sport. It's a blessing. So yeah.
And how do you see sort of like the topic of equality, I guess, both in terms of the sport itself, but people presenting as well, in terms of, female representation, whether you're a presenter, whether you're playing a sport? Do you think that's really improved? Or is progress still to be made?
I think it's improved tenfold. I think for me, a great thing to improve would probably be to match it behind the camera now. I'd like to see more of that. I came from behind the camera, so any more representation behind the camera I think can feed through a lot. And that's where a lot of people's experience comes from. So yeah, I'd like to see more of that. It's brilliant. It's really good. It's really well done. I mean, particularly the Drive to Survive series. It's really cool. There's there's a couple of protagonists. There's a couple of faces you can see a lot of in the first episode. And what else can I say? I think one of the things I've seen that hasn't come out yet is the extended trailer. That's coming out on Wednesday, and that is properly delving into things. So it's not just, obviously you get to know the players, but I think you get to know them a bit more in detail. And anyone that's worked in rugby or played rugby or knows rugby players at elite level knows how much hard work goes into it, but the sacrifice is huge. There's a fair bit about mental health, not the first episode, but you'll see it as the series comes out. So I think it's going to be a good research. I love the Pilates because that wasn't easy, but I do have a big soft spring big hand. I really like it. And then at Wimbledon, we've got this Polaroid of him. I don't know why, but this Polaroid of me and Big Hand, it keeps popping up in my house. So I'll open a drawer and it's there, and I'm like, wow. And then I'll go into my cupboard a couple of weeks later, it's in the cupboard, and I'm like, why is this still why does it keep popping up? It's really weird. So I don't know. I don't know what that means. I love what he's done. As an individual coach, I really am disappointed that it's meaning that Spurs are better and it's quite a threat for us. But I think he's brilliant. I think he's done a brilliant job. I think it's a massive shame for him. We lost Madison. I think it's a huge hit and he's struggling with quite a lot of injuries. But no, I wouldn't swap. Very excited. I love the Netflix delve into sport, and I think it's been brilliant for other sports. And I think rugby probably more than most could benefit massively from something like this. I think, yeah, definitely. I was really lucky actually. I did a Q&A with Chris Corner, and it was only a couple of weeks ago, and we've spoken before about this series and what it's done and the amount of new eyes on it, and not just, I suppose with things like this, you've got your core fan base and you're looking to bring new people in any which way possible. And I've always felt that rugby, for whatever reason, hasn't managed to move with that younger generation of fans coming through, or at least not to the degree that it really should. It's like one of my first sports, one of my favourite sports, so I've always been a bit disappointed in that. And when I spoke to Christian Horner, he was like, wow, it was like the amount of popularity that it's created, and it's not necessarily just popularity amongst fans, it's just other revenue streams as well. And I think rugby's taken a massive hit in popularity, so I hope that it has a similar effect. There's so many more. I'm not saying F1's not interesting in comparison, but rugby has got so many storylines and so many massive characters, and it's brutal. It's brutal and it's brilliant. And I know that they delve into a lot of things that perhaps you wouldn't expect from rugby players and then to talk about, and I think they've really gone under skin there, so I think it's going to be really great. Yeah. So they've done it perfectly for that kind of timing. And look, there's some massive characters. I think individual sports fans, or individual, not even sports fans, but individual fans of shows and Netflix series and things like that, love to get to know individual players, and there are some really good protagonists. So I think that's the kind of thing they need to get hold of. They just need to make it a little bit more, I suppose, just making the viewer a little bit more knowledgeable about it, just to kind of get hold and go, that's my person, I'm a fan of him, I'm going to watch rugby, I'm going to get into rugby, and that's kind of what they're honing in on. Yeah, potentially. Well, maybe not even for their skill on the pitch, maybe not even for how good a rugby player they are, maybe it's just for their personalities and their characters, because there are some amazing ones. I mean, Finn Russell, he doesn't need any more knowledge about him at all, but I've seen the first episode and he is brilliant. Yeah, I think that if you weren't a rugby fan, you'd be like, wow, this is really interesting.